extremely disappointed when I seen how everybody reacted to this brother dying. Now, when he was alive, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I was the biggest Kevin Samuels fan. Like I watched all his videos, hella big fan. No, but I watched some of the videos to enough to understand his perspective. He was polarizing, so I made sure I tapped in just to get an understanding of what the brother was talking about, right? And of course, anytime you hear somebody talking, there's a good possibility it's some shit about what they say you're gonna like, some things about what they say you're not gonna like, right? So this brother was a polarizing figure, gave women advice, keeping in mind that women called in to him to actually get advice. He ain't calling your house. He ain't showing up at your doorstep. Women are calling in to get advice from this brother. This brother's giving advice based on how he saw things, but it was telling, family, because when this brother dies, people who didn't agree with his message, his perspective, they shitting on a brother after he died. Now, I'm going to keep it real. Like the next 15, 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, we're going to be talking specifically about our black women, though, right? We're going to be talking specifically about our black women. Because when I looked online, I mean, if a dude is talking shit about him after he died, that's on some hater shit. I don't feed into he was horrible for the black community and all this. Not really when women are calling in, when you got the option to tune out, right? Now, granted, the brother did say things at times that I personally didn't agree with. But so what? Every person, because I watch YouTube, there's personalities on YouTube that I fuck with. There's people on YouTube that I rock with. You see what I'm saying? I don't agree with nothing any human says. Who does? Who should? You see what I'm saying? Like critical thought, thinking for yourself, understanding what's going on, that's a personal thing. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to agree 100% with anything anybody say. You feel me? But let's get into it, because this brother, the bulk of what he was doing, let's keep it real today, family. Let's keep it real. This brother is dead. Everybody, women specifically, black women that I've seen shitting on this brother after his death. Let's get into it real quick. Because from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, family. Let me get this light out my damn face. Let's see here. From what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, family. This brother started off his message. To my understanding, he started off doing videos in his car, things of that nature. He started off doing videos in his car, things of that nature, and he was talking to men. From my understanding, a part of what he did in the inception of him conversating with everybody was talking to men, telling men what they need to do, how they can step their game up, right? Which is something we see a lot. Nothing wrong with that. But in this society, you coming at black men, nobody really gonna say nothing to a degree. You're not gonna get this outrage. To my understanding, family, the brother didn't get this outrage until he started talking about black women. Let's keep it real. He didn't get this amount of outrage till he started talking about black women, and we have to be honest. Like my sisters, man, when I thought my eyes was tripping for a minute. I'm online, I see people talking shit about this man after he dead. This is black women. This is some like political pundits who was just waiting to shit on a brother. You know what I mean? I kind of put some of them to the side. But for the most part, we're talking about black women. We're talking about black women shitting on a black man because of his opinion after his death. Now, again, granted, family, we don't have to agree with what anybody say. You watching somebody on TV, on YouTube, you don't agree with what they say, tune out. Right? Tune out. No harm, no foul. You ain't got to pay attention. You ain't got to watch. You ain't got to subscribe. You ain't got to do none of that shit. But when we talking about somebody like that, somebody like the brother Kevin Samuels, again, RIP to that brother. I don't wish death on any of my brothers. You on YouTube talking shit. You on YouTube chopping up game. You on YouTube giving advice. It's up to the listener. It's up to the individual listening to determine if it's something you want to rock with. If not, keep it moving. Who gives a shit? Right? But the amount of hate this brother received was unwarranted. It was unwarranted. And that's something we need to realize, but also have a conversation about why were black women so triggered by Kevin Samuels' message. Let's get right to it. Why were black women so triggered by Kevin Samuels' message? And like a lot of things involving the black man and the black woman, because I don't want this to be like a gender war type conversation, right? I love my sisters, right? But when we on some bullshit, when my brothers is on some bullshit, we need to talk about it. When the women is on some bullshit, we need to talk about it just the same, right? And when we look at how black women are treated in this country, of course, as men, you want to uphold them. You want to represent them as much as you can. But let's talk a little bit about, like, historically what has happened to the black man and the black woman. Because, of course, we know when we go back to slavery, we were raped. The woman was raped. We got treated disrespectfully in front of our women. Like, the beginning of the divide of the black family started a long time ago, family. Right? So we have situations where we getting raped, they getting raped, we getting treated a particular way in front of the woman to dehumanize us. All of these things were in play way before a lot of us was even born, right? But what we need to keep in mind, like just the real talk about it all, is this continued to happen while we were getting arrested, while we were getting criminalized in different ways. Black women was getting the leg up. They was put in a position where, hey, we're going to give you welfare so you don't need the man. We're going to give you these different benefits, but in order for you to take these benefits, in order for you to benefit from these things we're giving you, you got to take one step further away from the man. Now, whether some of our women knew they was doing this purposely, whether some of our women knew there was a system in play, this is how a lot of shit happened, family, right? So a lot of times, black men, like we become accustomed to being told you ain't shit, you a deadbeat father, you need to make improvements, you need to provide for your household, all these different pressures, rightfully so at times. But we've been getting a talking to about our position in this society, about our position in the black woman's life. We've been getting reprimanded about these type of things, right? But let's keep it real, family. And this is 100. A lot of our black women have not. A lot of our black women have kind of succumbed to the ways of this system, right? Where you think you an independent woman, where you think you in a position where you can call men scrubs, where if we looking at it, black men and black women, if we talk about our status in this country, we both at the bottom of a goddamn slave ship arguing. So it ain't really one on top of the other. It's really not one on top of another. But if you look at how this system has played us against each other, you may think that, right? The welfare system not being held accountable, right? And something I want to play for y'all really quickly, because the brother Kevin Samuels had an ideology that was, if not based, had a lot to do with the sister Sharazad Ali. I'm not sure if you guys are aware who Sharazad Ali is, but this is a sister, a revolutionary sister who wrote a book in the 80s, right? In the 80s, the book she wrote was called The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. Now, the reason why this was so controversial is because in this book, like Kevin Samuels, she was addressing the black woman's role in our society. She was addressing the faults of a black woman. She was addressing the racism that led her up to the position she's in. But all in all, she was addressing the black woman in what she saw as the negative attributes of a black woman in that time. And that's 89. And the thing about it, when she released this book, she caught hell from everybody. Of course, you're going to have your supporters, people who understand what you're doing and rock with you. But just like a Kevin Samuels type, she was getting a whole bunch of shit strictly for having an opinion and using history to state where we are as a unit as far as black men and black women, as far as the attributes that women have taken on based on these historical facts I just mentioned, right? But what I want to do real quickly, which is really important to me, family, I want y'all to hear Sharazad Ali talk real quick. So I'm going to play a quick clip of this woman breaking down some of her criticisms of the black woman in society, right? And tell me if this don't sound similar to the brother Kevin Samuels. Hold on one second. Let me see here, because this is an important conversation. And if we talking love, right? If we talking about building and getting somewhere as a unit, we got to be able to call the man to the table when he on some bullshit. But we also got to be able to call our women to the table when things aren't going right as well. So check this out real quick. Let me rewind this. I want y'all to hear some of what this sister has to say, and tell me this don't sound like Kevin Samuels. Tell me the antithesis of this type of conversation isn't what Kevin Samuels was trying to get to. You feel me? So listen to a little bit of this.
My position is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is a direct cause of the breakdown in our black family structure. Now, of course, there are many black people who consider those fighting words because as black women, we have never been subject to the kind of examination that our men have been subject to since we have been here. We have been somewhat protected and shielded from any kind of critiquing about our personal behavior, whereas our men have always been up for examination. The book is not an attack on black women. I have never said that all black women do everything that I list in my book. None of us have lived long enough to do everything that I list in the book, but most of us do some of the things that I've listed in my book. And I do say that it is not because of generalizations that we are all victimized by some of the negative patterns of behavior in the book, but the book just represents our collective contribution. This is some of everything that we have done or that we do daily that contributes to the breakup of our relationship, the destruction of our man, and the failure of our children to be able to function. They did not tell us that all of that being my own person and I'm independent would lead to separation, loneliness, celibacy, and lesbianism. They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation. They didn't give us that information. They made us think that it was some kind of glorified position to brag about the fact that I got my own job, my own credit card, my own car, so I don't need no man. I don't even know how we got that mixed up. Ain't none of that got nothing to do with having being with no man.
Wait, real quick. In family, let's have a conversation for a minute. In context, this is 1989, right? This is in the 80s. She's speaking about the independent nature of a woman, the divide created between the black man and the black woman. Tell me this shit don't happen still today. We got songs like Independent Woman. We got songs like Don't Need No Scrub. None of these are taken into account the actual positioning, the situations, the racism, the systematic indifference that we've had to deal with in this country. Excuse me, family. These are some of the elements our black women have had to go through, right? Excuse me. These are real things that she's talking about. In as a community, black women need to be held accountable just like us. We get told, I'm a black man with 5 kids by 3 different women. Let's keep this shit real today. I was made to feel like, to a degree, rightfully so, like I was shiftless, like I was irresponsible, like I was a bad seed because of this, like because I've started my family this way, this makes me undesirable to other women. I've had to deal with a lot of shit because of how I decided to start my family. And again, I was always aware I feel some of that way too. Like I feel some of the ways I've conducted myself has led me to a situation where I can't be as productive as I want to be, and that ain't cool. Like I shouldn't have did that, right? So if as a man, I can be told I need to pay child support, I need to quit being shiftless, I need to get a job, I need to take care of my family, I need to do all of these things. Some of these things are like a westernized version of what reality should be. Like none of this shit was constructed by us. For the most part, it was constructed by the system, but fine. This is how I'm dealt with in America by my women, by other people. And again, as a man, I'm thinking, rightfully so, I need to fix some of this shit. But what happens when we turn that onto the woman and say, hey, look, you need to think about who you fucking with when you have kids. You need to think about this list you created about the type of man you want. Have you turned the camera, the mirror on yourself to say, hey, self, do I deserve that kind of man? Have I put myself in a position to obtain that kind of man? Have I been unrealistic with my goals and my dating realities? Is this the thing? Like, have I told myself, hey, self, be accountable? Let's keep that shit real. Women aren't conditioned, and I know a lot of women ain't gonna want to hear this shit. Women, I'm speaking specifically for black women right now, because with white women going through with they white man, that shit ain't got nothing to do with you. Women have been conditioned to be not as accountable as black men. They've been conditioned to be the damsel in distress. They've been conditioned to be the victim at times. When it comes to the relationship between black men and black women, I'm sorry, but that's a fact, right? So I'm going to play a little bit more of this, but that shit pissed me off seeing everybody talk shit about this brother in his death simply because he had an opinion. And again, let's be clear, the opinion was based on how he thought about what black women should do to get to a particular position. And I'm playing this video because this sister was a part of that ideology. She felt the same way. She presented it in a very similar way a decade ago, several decades ago, and she received the same type of backlash that he got. So let me let y'all listen to a little bit more of this.
We have some serious relationship problems that nobody has been able to address us on because everybody wants to pretend that this is not going on. Over 60% of our women are single, widowed, separated, or divorced. They don't have a man. I just came out of Florida, and they got a housing complex that the Urban League built, which is a black organization that is for women and children only. They say they don't allow any men in there. I didn't have time to deal with it, but I talked about them real bad. That's the silliest program I've ever heard of. Them women that had men if they got a bunch of children. They need fathers. They need protection. We hear about the drug problem that we have in our projects across the country. It's one of the major places that we have a drug problem. We talk about the great strength that we have as black women. Well, the welfare department don't rent government apartments to single black men. Those apartments belong to black women who are allowing this to go on in their home.
So look, again, what is she actually doing? Like, what is she actually saying, right? Only thing this sister is doing is saying, hey, black woman, there are some things you can be accountable for. There are some things based on the systematic indifference, the structural racism. We can never take those things off the table because these institutions are the creation of what we see today. We can never take that off the table. But this sister was saying the same type of shit Kevin Samuels was saying. That's enough. I'm gonna stop sharing that for now. But do you understand the point I'm making? As a community, both of us have to be held accountable, right? If we're gonna hold the black man accountable for making sure he is the provider, making sure he's taking care of all these kids, making sure if he got multiple baby mamas, he's being in alignment with his children. And when we see this at times, we look at the man funny, like, fuck you got all these kids for? You ain't being a stand-up man. You ain't marrying your woman. You ain't, right? And all this is to me, like, I'm a man, 5 kids, 3 women. When I would get this type of energy, it didn't piss me off that much because I'm looking at myself and I'm feeling disappointed. Like, I know how much I love my children, but I understand the conundrum I put them in without having the proper finances, without making sure they lived in my house with their mama. Sorry about that, family. Without making sure they lived in my house with their mama. Like this was a thing. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna get mad at people who present this to me or how society presents it, even though I know when racism is involved, I know when different shit is involved. We know how that go. But in essence, everybody should be accountable. Everybody should be responsible for their part in whatever it is. And when I seen all these women shitting on this dead man, I thought, okay, we still got a lot of work to do as a community. We still have a lot of unrealized motherfuckers. Because check it out. Again, I'm not going to sit here in front like I was the biggest Kevin Samuels fan. I didn't watch every episode. Can't say I watched 10 of them, but I watched about 3 of them. Because I understand how video clips work, right? So I'm not that kind of dude. I do this for a living too, so I know you make a video clip that can get people talking that may have removed context about the entire conversation. So I would go back and watch entire conversations, and the biggest thing I would see was he shrewd at times, hella direct at times. Yeah. Did it sound a little off-putting at times? Sure. But the biggest thing I seen with the brother is he would have a disillusioned woman in front of him. Now look, if this nigga went to everybody, if this nigga showed up at your house giving his opinion, that's one thing. If he popped up on your feed just telling women they ain't shit, that's another thing. He was actually having conversations with real people. Now, he's going to give you his opinion based on what you told him. If you don't like the opinion, hang up. And you know something the brother said. I was watching a broadcast the other day, or an interview rather, of him talking to somebody. And you know what the brother said that baffled me? He said, look, I offer this service for a fee where I can give you relationship advice, coach you, whatever have you, in private. In private. Nobody has to know. In private. We can do this shit without nobody hearing or seeing. Small fee. We can do this. Most women declined and they wanted to talk to him on the show. So you know what he's about. You've seen previous broadcasts, so you know how he speaks. You're choosing to come on his live, however he's conducting his show. It's a choice you're making to come on his show and get information from him. So what the fuck are we really talking? Tell me the hate. Tell me that, yes, he's mentioned you're not going to get married if you're this weight, that weight, this weight. I personally don't agree with most of that shit. I don't want to use Eurocentric standards, westernized standards on how we should conduct ourselves as African people. I don't fuck with it like that. But so what? Some things you'll take from someone, some things you can learn other places. So I was like, I don't really fuck with that as much. But the overall aspect of how women have been coddled throughout our history here in America as Black people, how Black women haven't really been made to be accountable if they should be in certain areas. Not all, we're not speaking in absolutes, but some. This is a fact. So it's funny how when we get to a position where we say, hey, look, we need to make everybody accountable in the Black community. Let's go to the man. Like I said earlier, talk about how he's shiftless, talk about how he ain't got no money, talk about how he got hella baby mamas, talk about how he need to have money or have resources. Cool. But what happens when we get to the woman? What happened when a man starts telling a woman, you may be too big to get the man you want? Now, check it out. I'm of the belief that it's no absolutes in the universe. You can have a woman who's a little bigger, who gets a man who's slim, hella attractive with money. Anything is possible, right? Anything is possible. But in actuality, most of the time, right? We know how superficial this world is. We know how money kind of runs a lot of shit. We know how materialism runs a lot of shit. And when we hear a woman who's not that attractive has a list of things she want in a man, somebody got to tell her, you may get something like that, but not that exactly, right? You may not get everything on that list. You can get some of the shit on that list based, you know what I mean? Because like I said, a big woman, a woman who I may view as being unattractive, another man with money, with influence, may think she the shit. This is real life. So I'm not going to look at a woman and say, look, you got 3 kids, you're fat, you'll never be happy. You'll never be happy. That's not cool, right? But we need to say, be realistic. In his assessment of how realistic they were, typically came from their words. They spoke on what they wanted, and he said, how do I do this? That's unrealistic. So do I want to pander to her? Yeah, girl, you can get whatever you want. Do I Steve Harvey the game? Huh? Do I Steve Harvey the game? Where I pander to her a little bit, make her think you're all right. You just gotta wait 90 days to give him that pussy. No. So the brother came off as being harsh sometimes. He had ideologies and ways of calculating what's a high value man. I didn't rock with some of that shit, but so what? Eat the meat, throw out the bones. God damn it, ain't that what they say? I'm just fucking with y'all, man. But look, RIP to the brother Cameron Samuels. Black women, black family, because it's all of us. We in this shit together. We got some work to do. You feel me? We got some work to do. Because to treat a man like that, because look, I'm thinking about, boom, this man got a mama. His mama coming out talking about how she been hearing about her son being spoken about. I heard he has a daughter. Think about people's family. This internet shit is serious. Like, I'm getting tired of seeing everybody treat this shit like it's a game, man. If you, for instance, a lot of people on YouTube that are polarizing with their voice, their message, their however they approach it, right? You know what we need to realize? The people who are online speaking venom at these people. I hate you, can't stand you, you ain't shit. Whatever somebody's saying to bring out any emotions in you. For the most part, most of us, if you seen this person, and if you seen him in person at the store, the mall, you ain't gonna say shit to him. You see? So we've allowed the internet to become a whipping board for what we're not. Whatever we're not, whatever we haven't done in our life, whatever we're insecure about, we get to go online and beat up other people because we're insecure. We get to go online and verbally spar with people because we're unhappy with where the fuck we are in our life. That's sad. And you need to get the fuck off the internet. That's sad. And you need to get off the internet, family, or use it for how it is. Or if you're the kind of person that says, look, I'm going to say whatever I want to say online about a person to a person, but when I see him, I'm going to keep that same energy. Cool. I'm rocking with you. I may not like what you say and how you do it, but if your ideology is, I'm going to say this to anybody, I'm going to say it when I see him, this is how I talk, cool, I can't do shit about that. But I think we have a lot of insecure people online, a lot of people who aren't self-realized, who take it out on people who trigger them. A lot of the women I've seen online, I've spoken to women, I'll never say names, but I've spoken to women who hate Kevin Samuels. And at first I would just ask, like, damn, why? What happened? And they would mention these things he's mentioning about, but then I knew them. So I would think about, this is actually a mirror. He's showing you a mirror that you don't like. That's your fault, man. That's your fault. Do you know how many women, this is my opinion, I don't give a fuck if women get mad. Women who've made horrible relationship decisions. Horrible decisions with their vagina. Horrible. The men they chose, the situations they chose to be in, and ain't nobody told them yet, you fucking up. This some bullshit. Just like me, I always speak about my story. I don't care. I'm transparent. 5 kids, 3 different women. Many people have told me, "Hey, that's a bad look, my guy. Look how you starting off your family. Look how you're spreading out your house. Look how you're spreading out your finances." These are true things, though. I ain't mad. These are true things. It's not upsetting me, but we can't turn that around at a woman and say, "Hey, if you have 3 kids by 3 different dudes, you may be doing something wrong." And then you're in that situation, and then a guy like Kevin Samuels gets you on the phone, and you say, "I want a man who makes 7 figures. I want a man who's this. You still have the bullshit list, right? It's 2022. Do we kind of know the list is bullshit? The list is a reflection. Okay, write your list and look at you. Right? Write number 1, then turn it back on yourself. Okay, boom. Am I one who does my energy portray I can attract someone like that based on what I've done in my life? Because sometimes it's not all about looks. It's about levels of accomplishment, like how hard people work, right? You're not going to be superficial and say because you have a certain job or a certain means you are this. No. But if it's a man who's worked hella hard, because sometimes I look at niggas with nice cars and nice jewelry and nice shit, and I say, this could be superficial. It could be rented. It could be fake. You can go down a checklist of things that can make this not as real. Sometimes there are times where you can look at a man, you can look at an individual and they have things, right? Materialistic things, whatever. Sometimes this is merely a sign of hard work. This is merely a sign of days and nights of struggling, of stressing, of striving to get to a particular place in life. And you finally got there and you like, yeah, I'm going to let my shit hang down for a minute. You feel me? There's that person too. Now, for that person, what kind of partner do you think they want? Right? Sometimes you just have to be evenly yoked. That's all the brother was saying. Sometimes, most of the time, actually, you have to be evenly yoked. You have to be realistic. You have to have realistic expectations when it comes to dating. Let's be honest. A lot of women do not. A lot of women do not. A lot of the shows I watch from this brother, I'm thinking, why would this woman say that? Is she joking? Like, is she what? Then I listen further, and he's talking, diplomatic, right? Sometimes it's harsh, it's direct. Never said, "Bitch, you tripping." That's what I would think. That's what I would think all these Twitter motherfuckers is talking about. I would think you could show me a clip of him saying, "You fat bitch, you tripping." Not really. He's having conversation with people who invited the conversation. We're adults. So, seeing all of the hate for this brother Kevin Samuels, watching people even mention them almost being happy he's dead, is a horrible reflection on yourself, family. If you felt any joy from knowing this man was alive, that's a horrible reflection of yourself. And then somebody was saying, I was watching all type of shit on Twitter. People were saying, well, look, if in life you shit on people and you demean people, in death, you're going to get the same treatment. I think that can be true if it's with ill intent. If it's your goal to be hurtful and shitty to people, yes, when you die, there may be people you may have felt a certain way where they give you that same energy. That's a fact. And I'm for nothing, if there are people who felt his words triggered you and you were like realistically happy in a relationship, not in need of anything when it comes to the relationship aspect, and you say, okay, his words were distasteful, or see, we talking something different here. I've already said he said things that I don't agree with. I said, okay, I understand why you would say that, brother, but that's like a westernized view of the pecking order that I don't necessarily fuck with, but cool. Throw that out. He said something else. That kind of sounded cool. You see what I'm saying? Why can't we treat people like that? So that all the vitriol I see passed down to that brother after his death showed me we got a lot of work to do. And black women, Y'all got to call yourself to task. How many black women is going at these other black women saying, look, that's some bullshit y'all doing. If you don't appreciate what the brother's saying, fucking move on. You ain't got to deal with it. You see what I'm saying? So RIP to the brother Kevin Samuels. Eye-opening, maybe, because I'm all about the universe and like looking at everything for what it is. Brothers like Kevin Samuels, this brother died at 56, 57. This is young. Let's look at what he could have been here for. Let's look at the message he was pushing. What was he saying? Why did so many people rock with him? Because you can say you didn't like him. You can say he was distasteful. Why did so many people listen? There has to be something there. You see what I'm saying? So RIP to that brother. Respect to his family. Condolences to his mama, his daughter. It's fucked up everything his mom had to see. You know what I mean? But that's a sign of where we at in society. Everything we seeing, family, pay attention. Everything we seeing is nothing more than a sign to where we at in society. Boom. Let's move on. Again, RIP to the brother Kevin Samuels. Sorry that had to happen to him. This is how life works. But he was putting in work, though. You see what I'm saying? Y'all should learn from that, too. That he was speaking his truth. Speaking truth to power after his death. His message, his words, his energy is still here. So that's really what it's about. You feel me? Now, next thing I want to talk about, in connection to this, did y'all hear, excuse me, family, I don't know if this is true or not. Did y'all hear that it's a possibility Meg Thee Stallion didn't get shot by Tory Lanez? I don't know if this is true. I've looked around. I've seen a couple news publications mention this. I don't know how factual these news publications are, but let's just say, for instance, this is true, that